Sure.
Yeah, perfect. I can see the stream now. Um, yeah, the notifications are going by. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in today in yet another episode of Pitch Ground Live. With me, I have Rohit, who is one of the co-founders of Moda. And today we're going to be talking about how to make money or how to generate sales for your e-commerce store. So if you're running D2C brand or if you're running any kind of e-commerce store, this is the perfect time for you to actually increase your sales by up to 40%. And in this webinar, we're going to be talking about exactly the same. So people who don't know, Moda is an incredible automation tool where you can automate emails and SMS. It's a great alternative to Klaviyo. The founders have internally raised about $10 million. With me, I have Rohit right now. Rohit, before we get started, if you can just make another introduction of yourself to everyone, I think that would be great.
Sure. So my name is Rohit. I'm the co-founder and chief product officer of Moda. We've been building Moda over the past 1 year to solve a very specific problem in the world today, right? Where customer data is not fully leveraged, right? In e-commerce brands specifically. So the consumer today, the modern consumer today is very used to specific experiences, and that experiences are powered by data. And essentially what happens is the larger brands have all this power to orchestrate these very complex experiences purely because they have the infrastructure and the technology for it. So Moda's mission is actually to help the smaller brands deliver that same kind of experience across their own channel marketing, right? And so we've been building this software for about a year now. And yeah, very excited to bring it to the market, especially with PitchGround. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think the software is absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. But before we dive into the software and show some campaign building to all the users who is watching or who's going to be watching in the future, let's dive into the presentation. Let's throw in some nice jargons and actually show people the theory sides before we dive into the actual practical side. So Rohit, over to you.
Sure. Thank you for that intro. So I guess I'll start on a higher side in regards to how e-commerce marketing actually runs, right? The entire e-commerce landscape today is driven by advertising predominantly, right? Where users are pushed, brands have to run ads in order to acquire customers, right? And this happens typically through search, through social and other channels like that. But what typically early stage companies, what they seem to overlook in most of the time is that once the customer lands on their website, it's their opportunity to capture that customer's data, as well as then start building own channel or own marketing or own data strategy, right? And I say own, that means anything that happens on your own properties, right? Where the data is controlled by yourself rather than through Amazon or Facebook or Google, right? And so setting up this strategy and making sure you have a good, strong foundation for it is actually going to be the way that you are able to drive sustainable growth over a longer period of time, right? And so typically what the strategy would entail is to set up a lot of automations, as well as then to set up a lot of campaigns throughout the year in order to drive this behaviors, right? That would then translate to sales, right? And typically a successful retention strategy would see up to 40% of your entire revenue generated by own channel marketing, right? And so why is it that we need to focus on retention marketing, right? It's purely because of the fact that everyone knows that increasing customer loyalty just by a little bit can result in a huge increase in profits, right? And everyone knows that a loyal customer is more likely to buy, as well as more likely to be retained in a specific way, right? And so the idea is to increase the number of repeat customers and then get them to buy more and get them to spend more, right? And that's how you drive long-term sustainable growth while you continue to attract new customers through paid acquisition channels, right? And so the biggest challenge behind all of this is, and why retention marketing is so important, is the fact of the competition in the world today, right? Everyone wants to launch a food brand, everyone wants to launch a skincare brand, and advertising dollars are fighting for the customer's eyeballs. And essentially that causes the cost of ads to go up, which makes it completely unsustainable for the brand to continue to pay for growth, right? Which means that after the customer purchases the first product, the brand is actually at a loss, right? Because the acquisition cost is higher than the profit made from the product. And so the idea is to, the brand is only going to recover their costs after the customer buys, for example, the third time, right? And so the idea is to have a very strong own channel marketing strategy. So after the customer buys the first time, you immediately try to take over that communication and build that relationship with the customer with your own channels, right? Like SMS, WhatsApp, email, and so on and so forth, right? Another big problem is this explosion of apps and data everywhere, right? Every Shopify store owner or every e-commerce store owner is using multiple apps to run their business, and the data is sitting everywhere, right? And this causes what you call a not cohesive user experience, or they can't deliver cohesive user experience from a single source of truth, right? And so the idea that one of the things they need to solve with retention marketing is managing their data better, right? And then also the explosion of channels where customers are everywhere, right? You have customers who prefer to get notifications on WhatsApp, but they prefer to see their promotions or get their coupons through email, for example, right? And they're all very unpredictably using the platform or using your brand, and the ability to deliver the right message at the right time at the right place is what's going to make that little bit of difference and make the customer happy, right? And this is of course driven by the demand for this superior customer experience that they're used to because of people like Amazon, right? Who have perfected the art of e-commerce and deliveries and refunds and returns and all of that. And now the brands have to keep up with that experience. And so automation and data is the only thing that can help in this process of making customers happier, right? And so how we tackle that is essentially automations, right? Automations are the ability to reach customers in each of these channels with a very specific message at the right time and place based on what they do, right? Based on the behaviors that they do on the website or through email or through any other messaging channels. And of course, I'm sure everyone who is in e-commerce would know this customer journey where you start off by getting a new subscriber. That means somebody who has come to your website and essentially left a contact, right? Whether it's they subscribe to the newsletter to receive your blog content, or whether they actually purchased the product, whether they actually signed in for a discount, right? New subscriber discount. And so this then carries through the journey where the user is moved into specific flows based on what they do in order to then move them through these levels within the journey, right? So the idea is to move someone from a new subscriber right up to a VIP customer. And if a VIP customer or repeat customer is lapsing, to try and win them back, right? And at some point, you have to accept that some customers will never buy again for whatever reason. You got to sunset them out of the system, right? And so typically the user starts with the welcome series. And just before we go into that, I'd like to jump into the platform and essentially show you essentially the templates that we have, right? And so whatever I've showed you there, I'm just going to run through shortly. But essentially, they are all templatized cards that you can see here that you can either preview, right? You can preview this and see a preview of what is actually happening within that flow. And you can decide to use it if you want to, right? And so we have them listed here. We have more coming all the time with every release. And of course, you can always build your own if you want to do that, right? And so So let's start from the beginning where the user comes from the welcome into the welcome flow, which is essentially the ability to reach the customer with your first message as a brand, right? So if you can see this example here, the brand is telling a story about where they came from, what products they sell, what's their brand values, right? And essentially introducing the customer to the products, right? And so this is a very, very important flow, right, or automation, which automatically introduces your company to the user. And of course, with this particular flow, you want to drive them to make their first purchase, right? And so so that typically sees a very high open rate, right? And then of course, as the user is still not making up their mind or making their first purchase, there's what we call a discount, right? Subscriber discount. And essentially what you want to do there is to nudge them to buy the product after a certain amount of time of being a subscriber, to essentially give them a discount, right? And this is typically can be personalized as well, right? Depending on the products that they are browsing, you can actually personalize the discount for those specific products, for example, and so on and so forth, right? Then comes the abandonment series. So this is very common and the most important, one of the most important flows to tackle, which is essentially made up of 3 different abandonment scenarios. The first one being browse abandonments, right? Where the user is browsing a product, they're logged in, you know who is browsing the product. They keep looking at the same product over and over again. I'm sure we've done that with a lot of larger purchases, but you haven't actually added it to the cart, or you haven't actually checked it out, right? And so this is important to track this click behavior and essentially be able to then remind the user of this product that they were clicking on, and try to drive them to purchase through those emails, right? The second abandonment scenario is cart abandonment. So someone leaving something in the cart and essentially not checking out the product, right? And so this is typically done, either they were trying to buy later, or maybe they're putting it in the cart to try and see if they get a discount, and so on and so forth, right? But essentially the idea is to try and get them to purchase the items in the cart, right? And so this typically is done by having some kind of recover cart link within the email, which is automatically added in our platform, right? And then you have the third and final abandonment scenario, which is abandoned checkout, right? So this is a very high intent scenario where the person is already decided to buy almost, or essentially check out their cart, but they are then stopped for whatever reason, right? Either it might be high shipping fees, it might be a whole bunch of scenarios, right, that we've outlined here, essentially making it a blocker for them to purchase a product, right, or to check out that cart. And so you have to deal with those scenarios and experiment with all kinds of different emails to essentially try to drive them to check out their cart, right? And so if this from just the welcome flow and abandon flow, if you set them up correctly and you experiment and you see which messaging works, you can recover a lot of retention revenue from that, right? And then you have, of course, new customer discounts. These are all now post into the scenario of getting customers who have bought the first time to buy again, right? So essentially, you can start incentivizing, because you want to treat new customers, like a new girlfriend, almost, right? You want to really take care of them and ensure they're happy. And so this is something that you have to do and nurture, and then be very specific and personalize, specifically for what they're interested in and stuff like that, right? So understanding that customer on a one-to-one basis and grouping them together and really taking care of them is super important, because the moment they buy once, that is already half your job done, right? That is like the most valuable thing you can have is a customer who's purchased, because the likelihood of purchasing again is extremely high, right? If you do your job right. And so then comes the post-purchase discount flow, which essentially is a similar scenario, but typically you want to give a discount and also a lot of cross-sell and upsell recommendations, right? And then finally, also you have your replenishment flow. So for products that are bought frequently together or frequently in a specific cadence, the idea is to study that behavior, understand what is their time between purchases, and then automatically remind them about restocking the product for themselves, right? And so this also then comes with like subscription products. For example, if you understand that some people are buying a certain product over and over again, you can also get them to bundle it or perhaps also subscribe to it, right? Then you have other secondary, flows like your anniversary discount. So whether it's a birthday or anniversary, if you have that data, you should be engaging the customer during that time. And then finally, if the customer, lost customer or lapsing customer has not purchased after some time, you want to essentially, sunset them from the flows and from your engagement, so that you don't keep bombarding them with emails constantly if they don't want to purchase from you anymore, right? And so the idea is to maintain a list of very highly engaged and active customers, right? You don't want to have a whole bunch of people in your list that are non-engaged or not people that have not visited your site for like more than a year, right? And so that is something you want to do as well, okay? And so Moda is essentially what we call, our first version is called the retention marketing OS of sorts, right? And everything is built into it, ready to start templates and all these automated automated flows, as well as then the ability to do some kind of campaigns, right? So during this period, I think now that we're heading into Christmas and New Year's, the ability to run a specific campaign, right? To target these shoppers during this period. You can actually do it quite easily with our app. You can run as email campaign. You can select specific customers, let's say champions, people who are buying very often from you. You want to give them a holiday special, right? And so you would set up this campaign in 3 simple steps. Of course, I don't have a template ready for this specific occasion, but essentially there would be some templates in your account. This is a demo account, but there'll be some templates for Christmas and New Year's as well, where you can actually adapt from, because they all come in that specific design, right? So for example, this one is like if to use the same example, we would look at something like for Easter, right? And then you would modify the template to say what you want to say, right? And of course, the Easter sale could come. I can show you the smart headings functionality, which is the AI functionality. So Easter sale, let's say this is, let's change that to Christmas sale, right? And essentially 30% off, right? We can then click on this and click Get Suggestions, right? Get Suggestions would automatically give you AI-powered headings that you could use, right? Which says, treat yourself this Christmas, right? And change that in one simple click, right? So all of these tools are available for everyone on our lifetime deal, right? And so you can leverage this, hopefully this holidays, right? And so building out this holiday campaigns is pretty straightforward. After that, you just click next and it sends out to the targeted segment group, right? So I think that just coming back to all the flows that I mentioned earlier, once you have the flows running, once you publish it, it will say that it's published, right? And essentially what you want to then track is the revenue and conversion numbers, which will be showing you here, right? Which essentially shows how many people have entered the flow, how many people have moved on to the next flow, and so on and so forth, right? And you can track the revenue and conversion rates here. Okay. So I think that's pretty much the presentation for today. It's a bit short, but yeah, happy to take any questions you may have.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that amazing presentation, Rohit. I have a bunch of questions around e-commerce and D2C in general, because a lot of these questions usually arises quite a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I've compiled a bunch of all of those questions, and I would love your take on them. So my very first question is, with D2C getting more and more competitive right now, and it's becoming a lot more easier to source products. How do you see the future of D2C brands, and how do you see every brand in every segment trying to compete for that same customer segment right now?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely super competitive. But if brands who produce a higher quality product and who can actually market their product well is going to win, right, at the end of the day, right? And you have seen that as proof in all the popular brands in the world today. They can create something very valuable, a very valuable company from a product that is, a commodity, or something that's already been invented, like even like toothpaste or maybe soap and stuff like that, right? And so it's telling that story, that very authentic brand story, which is very important, right? And a lot of people in the D2C space have a mission as well, or a purpose, right? They have sustainability is a big thing, right? Doing some social good is another thing, right? And so being able to tell that part of your product as well is very important, right? And also coming up with very unique products. Like today I saw somebody raising money for cactus water. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter today. And essentially it's water from the cactus plant, right? And or the tree. And so very interesting alternative to coconut water and normal water, right? And so the idea is to set up these processes, right? Everything from having a very strong analytics play, that means understanding your customer acquisition and your average order value and your profits and all of that side of things, as well as then having these strategies in place, the data and retention marketing strategies in play to really ensure that you're optimizing the entire process from acquisition right up to loyal customer base, right? Another big thing as well today is the differentiator is the creative aspect of things, right? Everything from your branding, your packaging, your ads, how your ads look, how your emails look, how do your videos on social media look? All of those things, elements play a huge part as well. And so that's another thing they have to nail as well. And thankfully today, with all the latest innovations in AI and all of that, it's pretty simple to put together something, right? I'm seeing a lot of creators do that. And so the brands can adopt those same methods as well to push their brand out there.
Brilliant. So there is one more question coming in. While Moda currently focuses with regards to the e-commerce integration, how about if someone who's still running an e-commerce wants to use Moda and wants to use some other channel and just wants to opt in, so that then they can get them into Moda, and then they can start their automation series. So, for example, if you're running a blog inside Shopify, or you're probably just running a blog on platforms like Medium or some independent blog, because not a lot of people are quite fond of the native Shopify blog that they provide because of the slug structures. So a lot of people end up using some other platforms, and they would set up blog.theirdomain.com or .in or whatever it is. So in such a case, will they have the opportunity and an option that they can send up all of their emails inside Moda? And if so, how would they be able to do it?
So at the moment, we are working on building out APIs and webhooks that can trigger this integration. But right now, all the data has to come to Shopify first, right? So in essence, we are taking that initial customer data from Shopify along with the consent that we can use this email for marketing purpose or for transactional emails. That all comes from Shopify. And so the way our schema and our data works is to maintain that lineage, right? And so if somebody else is putting in a newsletter into Shopify from their newsletter into Shopify, then it's fine, right? Then we can pull the data. But otherwise, there's no direct linkage without it being an actual store customer data point, right? At this point, yeah.
Got it. So right now, you can only like market to your existing customers. You cannot use it for lead nurturing process at the moment. Did I get that right?
Yes, correct. That is right.
Okay,
Of
perfect.
course, if you have a form that, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and any sort of timeline when it's going to be coming by, so that people often do a lot of lead generation, or they would be at events, or they would be running some events or something, right? Or they would be just doing some giveaways, where giveaways is a very good and well-known strategy in D2C, or pretty much like majority of the sectors, to collect and generate those emails as well. So right now, there's no way to nurture those emails at the moment. Did I get it
So yeah,
right?
they can any emails that they have, they can upload into Shopify, and then that would automatically be picked up by Moda, right? So that is the method that we would do it, right? Because we want to follow the data flow. So because Shopify allows uploading of contacts, right? And so you can actually upload it there, and then we can get that. But the most important is when they upload, they have to also submit the field that says marketing consent has been accepted, right? Because they are getting it, let's say, like how you mentioned, right? Getting it from all kinds of sources. As long as that is accepted, then we can accept it. Yeah.
Got it. But don't you think that's just an additional step for a lot of users, because they don't want to throw just lead data inside Shopify, because they want to keep their Shopify data quite clean, while the leads that they have generated from other platforms, they want to just get that on their email marketing sequences and just start generating sales.
Yeah. So that is a feature coming up. I think it's in Q1. So in Q1, we'll be opening up the API so that they can submit to any platform that they want, right? As well as then also uploading files to our platform. Yeah.
Got it. Next question is, where do you see the entire D2C trend really going towards, and how and what 3 or 4 channels that you would recommend to any D2C brands if they want to acquire their first 1,000 to 5,000 customers?
So of course, when you're talking about first customers, advertising plays a big part, right? There's not enough email marketing or WhatsApp marketing you can do to acquire those first customers, right? So the first customers, you got to really invest in popular channels, right? Obviously Facebook, Instagram, and all of those, as well as then really going. A lot of these customers have to do a lot of brand awareness, right? So doing events, doing trade shows, going and meeting people, putting your products in stores, putting your products in restaurants. That's groundwork that you have to be doing, and really pounding the pavement to get their brand out there, right? So that first initial customer base is definitely going to be tough. But once you have that, you got to have a balanced strategy across acquisition and retention, right? Yeah, I think it is very challenging for a D2C brand today. I think a lot of people are playing in the food and beverage space right now because it's very high margin product. So D2C, for the first rule of D2C, I think, is to have a really huge margin, because you just have to be able to spend that money to get the customer, right? And so food and beverage is huge now, as well as skincare and personal care and all of these type of things. Not so much like apparel and all of that, because that's very expensive to produce and maintain, and so yeah, so definitely those who want to get started, I think experimenting, trying their hands at high margin products which are easier to put together, I think is important, right? And then of course leveraging all the latest tech in storefront technology, right? So using Shopify and other tools to really produce a nice site experience, I think is critical for a new brand. Yeah.
Got it. I think that's a very, very interesting approach. I just wanted to add in a few things that
Mhm,
I generally feel that advertisement is not the best way to go for any sort of new D2C brand that they're just building up, because
mhm,
your CAC is going to be insanely high as compared to the regular brands, because people don't know anything about you. So if they
mhm.
don't know anything about you, and if their first touch point, and if your first touch point is buy my product, that's
Yeah.
your first touch point to ad, then people, I don't think people would even bother. They might just click, you will end up wasting your money.
Yeah.
It generally takes about like a good 30 touch point. So my recommendation would be that if you're running any sort of a campaign, and if you don't have any kind of audience to begin with, um, Instagram and Pinterest are two platforms which
Mhm,
is a must go for you.
mhm.
That's what I would recommend. The
Yeah.
second thing that I would recommend is, apart from this, start email outreaching, and take a bit of B2B approach,
Okay.
where you're trying to get a business onboarded, and you're trying to pitch them where they can either like do some sort of rewards, or they would buy your product in bulk and they would give it away on certain occasions, or during New Year, Christmas, any of these occasions that are coming in. And usually these corporate deals, you can expect to give away up to like 40 to 50% discount, because they will be buying with that sort of a volume. But
Mhm,
generally your margins itself is going to be pretty high. So at that point of stage, if you're getting like a single check of about $15,000, you, even at 15% or let's say 20% margin, after
mhm.
discounting them, you're still pretty much left with like $3,000, right? With just
Yeah.
one deal. And essentially what you're doing is you're building up that sort of an audience, because now that is your end consumer anyways. So
Yeah.
they could end up becoming a D2C brand,
Mhm.
a direct consumer, but then you can
Yeah.
use it sort of push them inside Shopify, get them over here, and run some referral campaigns inside Moda.
Mhm,
And that way, you can build some trust. I think Moda already has an integration with Yotpo.
mhm.
So you can just ask those users to start giving you some reviews, because once you build those reviews, that's when you can get started. And I think more integrations are coming up with regards to more review platforms as well
Yeah.
inside Moda. So that's those are the two strategies that I would recommend, which the
Yeah.
chances of them working is very, very high.
Yeah.
Another option is that start going live pretty much like every alternate day on Instagram,
Mhm,
and make sure that you're not going live alone. You're going
mhm.
live with someone else. So reach out to some micro influencers. So now this is a strategy that I have shared with a lot of small and upcoming D2C brands, that reach out to micro influencers. So what is a micro influencer? Anyone who has less than, let's say, 2,000 or 3,000 followers. When you
Mm,
reach out to them and tell them that, hey, let's go live together, let's talk about this particular subject. So if you're talking about, let's say, skincare brand, just
mhm.
go out there, reach out to those influencers who are talking about these things, and go live with them. Now, the thing is, they would want to go live with you because they want recognition as well.
Yeah.
Tomorrow they can say, hey, look, I have worked with this brand. Doesn't matter how big or small the brand is, and the proof is, here is the live video. Now, what happens is, if you are on 0 follower right now, or 5 followers, or 10 followers right now,
Mhm,
what happens is you immediately get access to that initial 2,000 people, right?
mhm. Yeah.
Now, once you get those initial 2,000 people, you would see that out of them, and those 3,000 people will be very loyal people, by the way, because the smaller the audience, the more you would have focused on them by providing them more value, because you would have had a lot more interactions, as the
Yeah.
number of DMs would be quite less. So in this
Yeah.
case, what's going to happen is that the number of people live or would watch live would be anywhere from like 50 to 100 at that stage. Typically, that's what we have seen. And from that point of stage, they would end up following. So right away from like 0 or 10 followers, you end up having like 50 to 100 followers pretty much.
Mhm.
So that's what, 5x to 10x potential growth with just one live. Now,
Yeah.
when you do that, drop in a FOMO code that,
Mhm,
hey, buy this product at the end of the webinar, and we give you 30% discount, only valid for the next 2 hours or one
mhm.
hour. That's sort of a high FOMO. And when you do that, you would start driving some sales coming in for yourself, and then use the nurturing sequences and keep your audience engaged using Moda. So when
Yeah.
you use
Yeah.
this playbook, this is one of the most effective playbook
Yeah.
inside the early stage D2C brand. So if you
Mhm.
use this, not only you're tapping into other people's audience, but you're also making that audience yours and turn them into paying customers without spending a dime. So from there, you know the gig, just keep working on good contents, keep engaging with the users, keep providing them with good deal and good product, and ultimately build a good product, because if you don't have a good product, no software can help you sell.
Absolutely.
No software can
Absolutely.
help you retain. So just focus on that. So that's one
Yeah.
playbook I just wanted to like quickly share.
Yeah.
Coming on to
Yeah.
the
That's a
next
good
question.
playbook. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rohit. So coming on to the next question from there. Um, how do you see 2023 for D2C brands?
Yeah, I mean, it's nobody really knows what's really going to play out. As for now, I don't know. Is it a bad climate yet? Everyone's saying it's slowly picking up again. Some people are saying it's going down. But yeah, it depends on in which country you are, right? I think in India, I think everyone's still doing pretty well in some sense. But yeah, I think 2023 is going to be very interesting because we've seen a lot of change in the market, right? A lot of innovation that has come about recently, right? And so I think there are going to be a lot of creative folks coming out there, making more content, doing more things, introducing more brands, right? And I think the competition is going to definitely go up, right? They always say the best time to start a business is during a recession, right? And so yeah, so I feel that there are going to be some interesting products coming out, and if, even in the SaaS world as well as the D2C world, and yeah, but it depends whether or not those products are going to really take off with high growth in 2023. Yeah.
Yeah, and also you also get rid of a lot of competition during recession. So
Yeah.
that's actually the time if you really play out your cards well.
Yeah.
It's a huge amount of opportunity overall. That comes on to my next question.
Yeah.
How do you see AI really kicking in with all the buzz and everything around AI? How do you feel that can help the D2C brands and the e-commerce businesses, especially if they're using Moda?
Yeah, I think the one of the main missions, right, of Moda is to make it as easy as possible to achieve all your needs when it comes to retention marketing, right? This is actually the first mission that we have, and also to allow these smaller brands who don't necessarily have the technical knowledge to set up data pipelines and do all kinds of complex things to use templatized solutions to do whatever they need to do, right? And so the main play now next is once we have automation in place, the next frontier is actually AI, right? Where content and automation is both directed by AI, right? And so the first step I see is for us to, specifically in Moda, but in general in the industry as well, the creative process is going to be much faster now, right? Everything from writing, copywriting, product description pages, you have your headlines, subject lines, even designing of the templates, right? And then you go one level further beyond text content, you go into graphic content, right? The ability to create multiple variations of your Facebook ad or Instagram ad, or create multiple versions of your video ads or video content, right? Can be done very quickly and easily with AI, right? And so smaller brands who don't have resources and money to pay for all of that stuff, I even saw one product for product photography, right? Putting their sunscreen in the side of the beach, next to a sunglass, that can be created with AI now. So no need for an expensive photographer to come and take a photo of the product, for example. And so all of those elements put together, as well as then the ability to do certain decisioning, automation decisioning, right? Like, should I send this particular user a WhatsApp message instead of an email? right? Or should I send the user a funny, witty language versus serious tone or something like that, right? All of those things, decisions can be taken by AI as well, right? And so plenty of innovation that will be coming to Moda as well as the whole industry, I believe. Um, and I think another big point is around the ability to then, uh, beyond just the creative process, to use the data that we have in our data warehouse to do a lot of predictive analytics, right? Which then also drives to decision on what to do next, right? For example, recommendations is a huge use case for us, where we're able to look at very complex behaviors and recommend specific products, right? Especially if the store has a lot of products. And then, yeah, next best action, churn prediction, all of these other AI use cases that can be driven by in our platform itself, right? So yeah, so a huge bunch of AI roadmap track that we have going on in Moda. But yeah, very excited to see what will be produced by the industry as well. Yeah.
Awesome. I have one more follow-up question to this. Are you planning to also add something like AI recommendation or something inside Moda where there
Yes.
can be like discovery of opportunities? So, for example, hey, this customer could be buying but is not buying, or here is a segment, like basically segmentation, but an implementation of AI to create auto segments.
Yes. Yes. So our auto segments are actually somewhat powered by certain rules, right? Obviously, based on the customer, on the brand's type of customers and their price points and all of that. But essentially, the ability to identify, like, churn, someone who is high propensity to buy, let's say, a specific product, that is driven by a AI model or a prediction model that then automatically segments those users for those products and suggests to the brand or suggests to the merchant to run a campaign to target those set of customers with that specific product, right? So these are some of the innovations that can be done, right? So that's like an insights layer or recommendations on next best action for a variety of a list of campaigns or flows that should be turned on, right? Yeah.
Awesome, brilliant question. And before we wrap up, just last two couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you see the entire vision of Moda coming in?
How long, meaning that how long will
How
take
long
to
until you
finish?
see, like, yeah, how long until like you will see everything coming together? Because it's a big vision, and
Yeah, it
when
is.
it comes to such kind of large vision,
Yeah.
it generally requires like hundreds of engineers to accomplish
Yeah.
such a task.
True.
When do you see this happening?
I see it within the next 3 years, we will have a very, very advanced and mature product within the next 3 years. But within the next 1 year, I think we'll see enough features to compete very strongly in the market. And then, of course, maybe 5 to even 10 years, we would actually keep shipping features as technology advances, right? But the idea is the mission is always going to stay the same, which is to make it very easy for people to use these kind of products, right? And make it easier and easier, where it's just push button at the end of the day, right? I come in, log in, I add my store, and then I just say, yes, I want to turn on everything, and then I'm done, right? Let AI do everything else. Hopefully it'll come there one day. But yeah, I think within the next 3 to 5 years, we'll see Moda being like, the vision being realized, I feel. Yeah.
Awesome. And I think the final question, or I think the final update that we should give everyone. Guys, Moda is currently available on PitchGround at the moment, and the deal is expiring in the next 10 days or so. So I would highly recommend you to sort of grab it right away. It's not going to be hanging around for too long. And once it's gone, it's gone. They aren't planning for any other lifetime deals anytime soon or ever. I don't know. I think Rohit can probably speak more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on our marketing team and what they decide finally. But yeah, right now we're all about, ensuring that we have enough users to work with us, and really show us that help us build the next roadmap. And so yeah, so definitely grab the lifetime deal while it lasts, right? Yeah.
Awesome. So as you can see, you can literally grab this amazing tool for $49. If you're just starting out, it's perfect. And if you hit 5,000 customers, you're already like minting at least $50,000 at the very least, as well. So go ahead and provide it again your product here, and you're selling about like $10 per customer, which is pretty much the average cart order value in India, I would say. So you still end up making like ton of money, and plus you get like 400 SMS credits per month as well. So fantastic opportunity. It's unlimited email. So it's literally $49. Go grab it for yourself if you're starting out, and if you already have things going around, you can always go ahead and check that out. We have videos. There are some amazing reviews coming in. The team is amazing and incredible. They've raised $10 million. They have an amazingly helpful team at the same time. Grab this product. It's an absolute no-brainer of a product. You don't want to miss out and regret after a few months. We know that that happens all the time, that people wait till the end, they miss out, and after 1 month, they'll come back and say, can you bring back? Can you bring back? It just becomes very difficult, because at that stage, the vision that the founders have, they start focusing on a certain kind of a customers, and they start moving away from a typical early stage marketing that they do to a much more mature stage where the product matures further. And that's when the target audience becomes a much more sort of established companies out there, while you can continue enjoying the product and the new features that's going to come out. So take advantage of this. It's not going to be coming around. And again, it's peanuts. You can make this money back with just one email campaign. That's all it takes to make this money back. Have like 10x, 100x, or 1000x ROI for the rest of your life. So grab this product. It's one of the best investments you can make for your business. Give yourself this gift this Christmas or New Year. And I will see you guys in the next video. But meanwhile, any sort of closing lines do you have, Rohit, for anyone who's watching this video?
No, likewise, what you just said, right? It's a real great opportunity. We've seen some of our early customers make back 10 times, 20 times what they invested just in one simple campaign. So yeah, so definitely completely worth it. And yeah, great deal. Especially since it's lifetime. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Rohit, for stopping by. I know it's 21st. Things are going to start slowing down a bit more because of Christmas. So I really appreciate you taking the time and doing this. With that, we'll be wrapping this up. Again, guys, you guys have 10 days. If you're watching this webinar, or you're going to be watching it in the next couple of days as well, do not miss out on this deal and regret later on. I'll see you guys in the next Pitch Ground Live. Until then, have a great one, everyone, and have a great rest of the week. Bye.
Cheers. Merry Christmas, everyone.